Hello and welcome back to Softcore History.
Wait, Dan's not here.
Dan's not here. Wait until he gets around. He's rounding the TV. He's getting past some chairs.
Taking his sweet time.
Looking at the TV some more. Oh, he's here. He's here, guys. Dan is here. I, of course, am Jake Goldman, as always, with Dan Regester, who just got to the table. How are you doing, Dan?
Just taking my sweet time. Don't really have much to say.
You don't. That's fine.
Oh,
and now Rob is gone.
We're doing hockey shifts right now.
It's like I have to just sit here in the penalty box. You guys get to go out on the ice.
What's your topic?
It is my topic today.
That's how I feel every time I have to lead. Like I'm just on an island by myself.
I have something to read before we get into this topic.
What? Okay, Rob Fox is the other voice you just heard. If you aren't familiar with the podcast, what do you have to read, Rob?
A listener, a friend of mine, sent this in about Dan's argument last week.
About baboons?
Yeah.
Okay, so for context, anyone that didn't listen to last week, you need to go do that now. It's about the mystical island or land of Punt.
Yeah, not an island. It was probably in Somalia.
It could have been Sri Lanka. We don't know. But Dan said he could fight a baboon to death.
Okay, so here's what my buddy...
if it's a life or death situation, I'm not going to let a baboon kill me.
Yeah. That's what you think,
Sure.
but you're wrong. This is what Thomas sent in. Baboon would almost certainly annihilate an average human male. Like chimps, a baboon can rip your limbs off with ease. Baboon versus Chuck Liddell would be a close fight only because of Liddell's MMA training. A baboon would actually have more of a drive to rape than Chuck Liddell.
The way you're talking in the microphone is also very bizarre. Did not set it up like that.
It's right here. It's fine.
Glad,
I like it to
sounds
make it
probably
look like a man's thrusting up at me.
Well, I can see Coop's already messing with the levels. You are definitely for sure fucking with us, but
The mic is right here in my fucking face. What else can we
right,
do?
so it's probably blowing the fuck out.
Back to the baboons.
Yeah. So anyway, he was just saying a baboon would fuck you up.
And probably rape
no
you.
chance. Like if sure, I'm gonna take some scars, right? I'm not coming out this fight without my own battle wounds.
And also, we talked about you being dropped into a pit of baboons.
No, it was actually, I will defend Dan here. I said he couldn't kill, if he was put into a tank with two baboons, I said he wouldn't even get one.
I'm taking both out.
No, you'd be dead.
I'm not dying.
We don't need to
by
fully
baboon.
relitigate this, but they would rip your throat out and use your intestines as toys.
And they'd probably do stuff with the stump.
Dude, they'd rip
First
your
off,
dick off and
like I
literally
said,
play with it.
One of these baboons is catching a Sweet Chin Music. I'm going full Heartbreak Kid. I'm then taking that corpse and swinging that baboon at the other baboon, and because I'm just using the baboon as a weapon.
Do you think one punch would kill a baboon?
Yeah, like when
Mario.
they say,
I was thinking Mario and Bowser when he has to swing him around
and
by
throw
the
him
tail.
on a bomb.
yeah. I'm using them as like turtle shells.
Nice.
No,
Yeah.
you're dead.
They're
not
dead.
They're eating
You're
you.
fucking soft. You've never really been in a fight in your life, probably.
You've never fought a baboon, Rob.
Yeah.
I've never fought a single baboon. That's true.
Yeah, neither have I.
And I don't think you have any historical proof that I couldn't take on a baboon.
I have the historical proof of knowing what a baboon can do.
You don't know what I can do.
I know. I don't need to know what you can do.
Jake kind of knows.
I don't.
Do I get to take any supplements before this fight? Am I
Well, you're
getting
fighting for
tested
your- well,
by
you're fi-
USADA?
you're
or
fighting
You
for
have
your
the
life.
best. Yeah, you have the best supplement, which is human adrenaline.
can I get like HGH? What am I doing?
Oh,
Can I go on a cycle?
You can dope.
I'm allowed to
He's
dope.
like, can
before
I
this
just
fight?
get like HGH and a couple machine guns and
I don't need weapons.
All right. Anyway, so
No, I'm ripping this baboon in half.
No.
I'm breaking him over my fucking knee like Bane.
God,
Damn, that's tight.
I'm gonna buy baboons now.
These baboons not as big as
I
me.
will buy so much
I
cocaine.
have the size advantage.
I'm gonna buy so much cocaine until I become friends with
someone
like
that
a
owns a
high level
baboon.
cocaine dealer who owns baboons.
I like that. That's your
Like-
first go-to on how to
Yeah.
acquire a baboon.
You think a
Through
baboon's gonna
coke
bite
dealers.
me?
Yes.
Which makes sense.
Baboon thinks it's gonna bite me. I'm gonna bite the baboon.
It's
I'm
not
taking
gonna
a
care.
chunk out of that baboon.
You have gay little toddler teeth compared to
No,
any baboon.
Doesn't matter. I have the strength advantage over a baboon.
Not
You don't
in the
have-
jaw,
not in the jaw.
or in the arms. What are you talking
Definitely in the arms. I'm ripping his arms off, dude.
Then he's gonna beat the baboon.
That baboon can't bench
about? Its
315.
entire life is lifting weights.
No, its entire life is survival.
It's just
and it's
swings
tired from
and
surviving
runs
every
on its
day.
arms.
I'm rested. I'm
can-
trained.
You can Venmo me at Jake-Goldman on Venmo, and we can start a buy a baboon.
Yeah, actually, Venmo me at Rob-Fox and enough money to just buy the cocaine I need to befriend a high-level cocaine dealer.
And
just
you
like
can-
a real skeezy Mexican.
You can just Venmo me, Dan-Regester, Regester, just so I can have a little extra spending cash.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
let him get some walk around money before he gets his life taken from him by a baboon. Anyway, thanks for joining in today. We will no longer we are going to put a moratorium on baboon fight
That's got to
discussion.
be the baboon
Yeah.
cap, yeah.
Yeah, that's it for that. Today, guys, it's National Women's Day. Did you know that?
International Women's Day.
Whoa,
Yeah.
international.
Don't limit it to
Put
just
some
one
respect on
country.
the women you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's right, International Women's Day. You were correct. And because of that, we're actually going to be talking about some special ladies that killed some Nazis in World War II.
Oh.
Yeah, no. My favorite kind of women are the ones that kill Nazis. Everyone knows this about me. Big fan of anyone that killed Nazis. So
So you love Ava Braun?
I mean, in theory, I guess I would love Hitler.
You're a big Stalin guy.
You
'Cause
would
he
love Ava
killed-
Braun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ava Braun
What killed?
herself.
Yeah, and so did Hitler, right?
You're
so-
pro-Soviet.
Well, in this story, I will be. So we're going to be talking about the 588th Night Bomber Regiment, known later as the 46th Tammany Guards Night Bomber Aviation Regiment, or as the Nazis called them, the Night Witches.
We've already talked about witches on this podcast before.
Yeah, it's
but,
worth noting, by the way, that we were talking about when we were like talking about what to talk about this week. We were like, "Yeah, Jake, it's International Women's Day this week. You should find like a topic about women." And Jake was like, came back like a couple hours later, and he was like, "Dude, I can't find anything about American women. What a worthless group of people." He like texted the whole thing. He was like, "American women from the founding of our country, even before that to present, just
Right.
worthless."
This
and
was-
he was like, "I got to go to another country because these women have never done anything here."
Jake's words. He's like, American women need to stay in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And
Just
then-
like Burger King.
Yeah, Jake was
yeah.
like, I gotta agree with Burger King here.
Then they came out with that disclaimer after that tweet that was like, and by that we mean
No,
diversity.
that was a whole planned thing of tweets.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
For sure. It was
you have to stew the pot first.
stew the pot.
Yeah.
Yeah, stew it.
It worked,
you go.
by the way. Anyone who's mad about stuff like Burger King tweeting women should stay in the kitchen and then following up with like very valid facts about the restaurant industry, or a show being called Dear White People or anything like that, like all of those things are done to get you to engage with them. Or like Steven Crowder, if you want to pick like the worst possible example, for International Women's Day, he like dressed up like a woman on Twitter and like did like a dog shit video.
Well, he's a comedian. So.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was the dumbest, least funny thing I've ever seen. But he doesn't care if it's funny because he's getting engagement. Burger King doesn't care if you can't cancel Burger King.
No.
No one who eats at Burger King is woke. There's not a single woke person ordering Burger King today.
Well, you were just talking about eating Burger King yourself.
I'm not woke though.
No.
And I would eat Burger King. Very underrated fast food burger.
I haven't eaten Burger King since
what?
college. They used to have. They had a deal though for about a summer at UCF. It was 50 nugs for $7.99.
That's
This is. I
incredible.
feel like
ordered-
this is the second time in a row, like 2 episodes in a row, you've mentioned the nuggets. that
It
you
might.
got at
I
Burger
think it was
King.
off air, but I
was it?
ate. I ate 100 nugs.
They have good nugs. Chicken fries are good. They also have a really good zesty dipping sauce for their onion rings. Burger King's really underrated. I'll be quite honest.
Rob actually likes them more now that they said
I
the,
will
women should be
say,
in the
as
kitchen.
a child, I enjoyed their original chicken sandwich.
the long one,
the long boy.
it's sliced in two. That thing was
Oh,
rough.
it's
I
absolute
can't get into
trash.
that. I
yeah,
can't get into that.
I think it was bad.
Anyone who's ever eaten the chicken marinara sandwich at Burger King should be executed.
Yeah, it's not good.
They're the chicken parm. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
the chicken parm sandwich.
yeah.
Well-
If you've eaten that, like I advocate for Soviet style to get back on topic.
Right.
You to be dragged into the street and shot.
Yeah, that's right. And, although they did do that, they were also facing kind of a lot of pressure in 1941, specifically in June of 1941. The Axis powers were pushing into the Soviet Union using,
Just the Germans.
using the largest invading force in the history of warfare, though.
Yes.
Yeah, so as Rob probably knows. What's up?
Oh, so Rob is actually not used to these microphones, but you don't have to talk right into these mics. These are different mics.
Oh,
Yeah.
do I have to talk right into mine?
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
Okay. So, as Rob probably knows, this was Operation Barbarossa. It saw about 4 million troops wade into Russia from the west, establishing a line that threatened to overtake Moscow itself. The offensive was one of the most violent and terrible military actions in World War II, with countless atrocities committed against the Russian people. Many, I am assuming, were against those who ate Burger King
I mean, it was a war crime festival.
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
it was definitely bad.
There's actually I forget the name of it, but you might be able to Google it. I don't like to have a computer in front of me when it's not my topic, just
Sure.
so I can freeball it.
Yeah,
but
totally.
there was a German World War II miniseries that came out a couple years ago. I watched it on Netflix, and it's not dubbed or anything. You have to watch subtitles. And it's about like 4 friends. It is from Germany. It's made by the Germans, and it's 4 friends who fought in World War II on the side of the Germans. 2 are brothers who are in the army. One, I'm sorry, it's 5.
Is it Generation War?
Yeah, Generation War. It's a really good miniseries. 2 are brothers who fight in the Wehrmacht during Operation Barbarossa. One is a Jewish German who obviously has to gets rounded up and has to escape. One is a woman who becomes like famous in Nazi Germany and like just becomes like a star or whatever in Nazi Germany. And the other one, she's just like a nurse with the Wehrmacht, with the German army. Anyway, they follow the invasion of Russia because like the only people, like you couldn't make them fight against the Americans and British because the only people you can maybe not have sympathy for in World War II are the Soviets on the side of the Allies.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, the Soviets repay those war crimes on the way back.
Oh yeah.
Not that you shouldn't be rooting for the Soviets in World War II, because you should be. But it's a good thing. And as they're invading at first in that show, which is again made by Germans, the guy, one of the main characters, who's an officer in the German army, says to one of his superiors, like they're doing all kinds of fucked up shit, and he just says to one of his superiors at one point, he's like, "What if we lose? Like,
yeah.
should we be doing this? Like, what if we lose?" And then the guy just like looks back at him like dead in the eyes, and he's like, "Well, then I guess we can't lose."
And then what happened?
Yeah,
He just did the speech from Major League.
yeah. He was just like, "Yeah, guess we gotta win the whole fucking thing."
That's a great motivating tool. Commit heinous war crimes.
So you can't lose.
Just the fear of
You
losing.
you would be terrified of losing.
Yeah. No, and it goes to show if you do lose after doing that stuff, bad things happen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically nuclear bombs and giant trials in your
Yeah.
country. Yeah. So anyway, by the fall, the Germans were. This is fall of 1941. The Germans were pressing on Moscow. Leningrad was under siege, and the Red Army was struggling. The Soviets were very desperate, and they started to get a little creative. So just to kind of interject from the storyline, from the start of the war, there was a colonel named Marina Raskova. She was a Soviet pilot who was known as the Russian Amelia Earhart. She was famous not only as the first female navigator in the Soviet Air Force, but also she held a lot of the world records for like long distance flights before, I guess, the ones that exist now.
Also, guess what? She didn't just disappear like an asshole.
She did actually, on one of her flights, she did get lost in clouds.
Yeah, well, she didn't. She came back.
They found her. Yeah, they found her.
Still looking for Amelia Earhart.
No, you know what
No,
she
we
did?
found her.
Did we find her?
I don't think we.
Yeah,
found
we did.
her. We never found a body.
Yeah, we did.
We found a body.
Yeah, on a fucking island.
Yeah,
is
like
news to
wasn't it
me.
an island with like giant crabs?
No, they found her.
I thought it was like a DB Cooper situation.
Yeah,
No,
that's
they
like-
found her.
Okay.
It was pretty anticlimactic. Just fucking crashed
Oh,
on an island and died.
Dead girl. Yeah, so
Like survived the crash, but then died like a month later.
yeah, because
Like broken legs.
Yeah, no, literally, she had a broken leg. Yeah, it was
Just
a whole
dragging
fucking thing.
herself
like-
on the
yeah,
island.
there's not a lot going on those islands anyway. But she actually did one of the planes she did like the long distance flight in. There was no entrance from like the cockpit to the rest of the plane. So I was reading about it. I forget like a lot of the details, but she ended up having to like jump out of the plane before she could land. And like she went back to find the wreckage, and they were like, "Oh, we found the plane." Like they were waiting there for her, but it's like they spent more time looking for the plane than her
Yeah. Well,
because they were recovering the
to the
stuff.
Soviets, it might be more valuable. You know.
Yeah,
It
for sure.
feels very on brand for the Soviets.
Right. But anyway, so she was famous in Russia for, being the first female navigator in the Soviet Air Force, but also, the long-distance flight records. And she began receiving letters from women across Russia wanting to join the war effort in any way they could. This is mainly because so many had lost brothers or fathers, significant others, things like that. And
Tough bitches
yeah,
in Russia.
yeah.
Tough fucking bitches.
And it's pretty awesome to hear that, like, they saw all this shit happening to their home, and they were just like, yeah, we want in. We want to, like, go fight. But, many women served support roles at the time. It was difficult at all for them to make it to the front lines, period, let alone fight. So Raskova lobbied to find ways for women to take a more active role in the war and was highly successful in her efforts. She actually led to women being eligible for the draft and even convincing the military to establish all-female units. However,
They were famous for a lot of Russian female snipers in World War II.
I believe that. Just like, you know what? I could see that solely because, like,
I want to say, I don't know if it's true or not, but I believe there was something that came out of Russia that's like women are actually, I think, maybe better shots than men because for whatever reason, women are just like slightly steadier handed.
oh, that's interesting. I would think that, like, if you're sending someone out for, like, a long crawl,
Yeah.
to get to a location, like, women need less food.
She's smaller.
Yeah, like maybe less
Like
detectable. I don't
3/4
know.
rations.
Right.
That's sexist.
Is it?
Let her eat. You piece of shit.
You think that's me?
I don't
trying
care. Yeah, obviously a
make the
110-pound person needs to eat the same thing as a 180-pound person. Actually, also, you got to keep in mind this is like 1941, so like the average male in the world, or like even in Russia, is probably like 5'6", 150 pounds. So the average woman's probably like maybe 100.
Yeah, like 5'1".
Yeah.
Something like that.
They're all pretty hot.
So all of her efforts, though, it kind of come to a culmination in October of 1941. Raskova was actually kind of in with Stalin. Like they don't really disclose much about the relationship there. I tried to look for like how she knew him. I'm guessing it's some sort of party bullshit or whatever.
Well, she was a celebrity.
Oh yeah, I
right?
guess she was a celebrity. Yeah, that would make sense.
And,
It's
and,
probably,
and not just celebrity, but like a patriotic celebrity.
right. Yeah, she is a hero in
Yeah.
the eyes of the Soviets. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Yeah, it's not like she's just got some like childhood friend Joseph Stalin
Right.
in there. That makes more sense. You're right. So the order came
Maybe
down.
there was something there.
Yeah,
he
maybe
was
They
they
could
a-
have banged.
Was a looker
I'm not gonna.
in the day.
She was pretty attractive, actually.
So was Joe.
Wait, what? Let me see a picture. I didn't.
Yeah.
So was Joe. I'm saying Joe was a handsome fellow.
He
Great
was
mustache.
very attractive. Joe Stalin was good fucking looking back in the day. Monster, but
Monster
Also-
cock.
monstrously hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Decent looking lady.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, she's good looking.
Yeah, not, and it's completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's
all
what she
all
does.
fighter pilots are good looking.
It's true. They should do a Soviet Top Gun with like hot Russian babes.
Top Gunness.
See, when you think about it though, like it kind of makes sense that Hitler did all these atrocities the way he looked, the way he, like all the things he had to deal with in his life. It kind of makes sense. It added up. Joe Stalin was.
I will say this in defense of Hitler.
in defense of Hitler.
In defense of Hitler.
To be fair with
Yeah.
Hitler.
As a creative who hasn't achieved what he's wanted to yet, I understand why Hitler would maybe kill millions of people when his paintings didn't take off like he wanted.
And he got his like swagger jacked by
Yeah.
Charlie Chaplin.
The rage I feel not being as famous as I should be for the things I've done.
Hitler had some gross knees too. I don't know if you've ever seen his
Hitler
knees.
was an ugly guy.
Dude, in his shorts, like he's got like that fupa thing going on. It's not a good
Not
look.
good looking.
Hitler-
Not good.
Hitler
Even
is-
young Hitler.
Yeah.
Like you look up young Stalin. Young Stalin looks like a fucking model.
Yeah, young Stalin had no
There's
issues.
no version of Hitler that's hot.
So like Stalin having to commit massive atrocities on his own countrymen.
Inexcusable.
Yeah, it makes no sense. But Hitler,
I
yeah,
get
you
it.
kind
I
of
get
it.
it.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, Stalin gives the order to Raskova to establish a trio of all-female air squads. There was only one, though, that was reported to have remained exclusively female, and that was the team of night bombers, the 588th Night Bomber Regiment, where everyone from pilots to commanders to the mechanics were women.
So why were they called the Night Witches?
I'm going to
Just
get to
'cause
that.
Okay.
You'll get to that. It's
I think it's deeply self-explanatory.
It's pretty like on the nose.
well, they're night
Yeah.
bombers, but yeah, no,
but
there's
they're
actually
women.
Yeah, there's actually a more specific answer to that.
Did they
that I'll
throw
get to.
her in water, and they float?
Yeah, they actually dropped bombs from broomsticks. It was really high tech.
That was sick.
Yeah. No, it's almost as cool as killing baboons from magic carpets.
And then they created the television show WandaVision. So
Yeah, you keep dropping WandaVision.
you haven't seen it yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
It's great. Is it?
It is. I
do-
didn't like
okay.
the finale's whatever. And then
Side note: do I need prior MCU
Yes.
knowledge to enjoy that?
it
Yes.
helps.
Fair amount.
Yeah.
Essentially, at this point, the MCU is just like a fucking 10-year-long show.
Yeah. Look, Jake. Look, it starts out slow, right? Like 2 to 3 episodes it takes to get really moving.
You're talking about the MCU or WandaVision?
Talking about WandaVision.
Yeah.
But also,
the first 2 episodes are kind of.
but also, you got to watch 30 movies before that.
That's why I'm never gonna watch WandaVision. I don't have like I've
Do you have 50 hours to commit before committing to a show?
I mean, I do.
Yeah, so that's not up for debate.
I definitely have that, but I don't want to I still have to show my wife all the Star Wars movies before I get into MCU.
You don't really have to.
You can start and end with Phantom Menace. That's where it peaked.
It really
Start
does.
and end. Only show her Phantom Menace.
Let's not undersell Attack of the Clones.
Well, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite.
God,
Well,
Rob,
you
I
The
forgot.
prequels are the
you
best
like
Star
the
Wars
prequels.
set for
God.
sure. It's
You're
never
the
close.
chosen one.
All right. Anyway, I'm not even touching that comment from Rob, but so this was actually pretty interesting that they were completely an all-women unit because the women would not only fly missions and drop bombs, they would return fire, making the Soviet Union the first nation to officially allow women to engage in combat. Previously, women could help transfer planes and ammunition, but after which the men took over. So this was a big deal.
So they were in bombers, which means you weren't just pilots; you had gunners and stuff on it.
They had a lot.
I don't know what their planes look like specifically, but on an American, had turret gunner on the bottom.
There was no turret gunner.
A tail gunner, several gunners on a couple gunners on the sides of the plane.
Oh, we're not talking about planes like that.
Okay,
They are terrible planes. I will the worst.
Show me a picture of it.
I'll get to it when I get to
Okay,
it.
cool.
Is this why so many German planes shot down Russian planes?
Oh no, these gals actually did pretty well. Anyway, from more than 2,000 applications, she selected around 400 women for each of the 3 units. Most were students ranging in the age of 17 to 26, so they were young. And those selected moved to Engels, a small town of Stalingrad, to begin training at the Engels School of Aviation. They underwent a highly compressed education, and they were expected to learn in a few months what it took most soldiers several years to grasp. Each recruit had to train and perform as pilots, navigators, maintenance, and ground crew. So they had to learn all of these responsibilities in a matter of months that it took years of these guys to learn.
Because to the Soviets, their life's not as important. So it's
I think they just wanted more people to quickly get into from my understanding of this, it was the longer it took them to get ready, the more likely it was going to get shit canned. So they needed to be moving fast, training
Makes
people.
sense.
Yeah, because if it took any longer, one, they wanted more people in the force, and then 2,
even then, the women had to be overly qualified.
It also, as far as training and quickly goes, the Soviets didn't have a lot of time.
no.
So the United States, when we deployed into World War II, we entered World War II at the very end of 1941, right? Pearl Harbor's bombed December 7th, declare war on Japan a few days later. Germany declares war a few days after that. We declare war back, blah, 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 blah. We really don't get our full force in until mid to late 42. There's Operation Torch in not South Africa, in North Africa and stuff like that. But we're not really fully erect, fully ready to fuck until mid to late 1942.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Also, like I said earlier, they are getting their door knocked in by the Germans at this point. So they're trying to pretty much make use of any body they can to keep the Germans at bay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously the women faced significant obstacles even before they began engaging in combat, namely with the equipment. And this is where we're going to start getting into what they were given. So the military, unprepared for women pilots, of course, offered them meager resources.
What does that even mean?
They had nothing. They had nothing.
Jumpsuits wouldn't fit over their boobs.
So
you can't fly these planes with titties. Oh, God damn it. We designed these planes for no titties only.
It's
Fly it
just-
upside down. Titties are like testicles. Maybe if you turn yourself 100% upside down.
Invert the bird.
Just
So
put your
inverted the
titties put your titties where the balls should be.
yeah, sit in a squat formation. Yeah.
What is that?
So what it
Planes
means?
weren't ready for chicks to be in it.
No, they didn't have a lot of the resources. So what
Yeah,
that
yeah,
means
yeah.
is that the female flyers received hand-me-down uniforms from the male soldiers, and they got all male boots. So they had to tear up their bedding and shit like that and stuff the boots.
Their tiny feet.
Yeah, they have the
Gotta
tiny
be
feet.
Fit
honest.
in the boots.
Putting some bedding in your boots. That's fixed in 20 minutes. That's not a huge obstacle to me.
Well, that's just the clothing. So they had to fly forgive me for this pronunciation, the Polikarpov PO-2 aircraft.
That sounded perfect.
Okay. Well, nice. It's basically, to describe this plane, what it was used for primarily. So the PO-2 basically means it's outfitted post-war.
Okay.
I believe. So this is the smallest plane they could have possibly employed for forces. It was mostly used as a crop duster. It's a biplane. with room for like 2 people.
So this is like this is interwarp. This is not. Do not picture a B-20.
There's nothing
what 21 or whatever it's called, or
No.
let alone like a P-51 Mustang.
Imagine your grandpa's taking flying lessons in a Cessna.
Sprinkle them with pesticide.
Yeah. Like a Cessna with a prop. Like, or obviously all Cessnas have props, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's the smallest kind of plane you can imagine.
It's the fucking dad from Independence Day.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's just like that. So it's a 2-seated open cockpit biplane. It was obsolete even by the standards of the day they were flying them, and it was made of plywood frames with canvas that stretched over them. They were light and slow and provided absolute no armor. And so
What a combo.
Yeah.
Light and slow.
no protection. They're
It's
made
like
of
you want to trade one. For, at least if you're gonna be slow, be protected. If you're gonna be protected, be fast.
Yeah.
No, you got neither.
So there's actually a nickname for this plane by the other Russian pilots. They called it the kerosene coffin.
Okay.
Basically, kerosene
Oh,
coffin.
it also goes up in flames whenever
Yeah.
even the slightest damage
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, so basically if a tracer round would have hit the plane, it would
Right.
have exploded.
Right.
Immediately. It's made of plywood and canvas. That's
Yeah.
it. So there was like nothing protecting these ladies. There was a benefit though of the planes, and that was that they had a slower stall speed. Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you know what I would have called it real quick?
Yeah, sure.
The flying pussy funeral.
Jesus Christ.
Why not?
You know,
So
These women are braver than I'll ever be. Like
They
if a spider crawled on me
were
right now, I'd
braver,
react
yeah.
worse than they did to like enemy fighters descending on them.
so here's a funny one.
in your station wagon of a plane.
Yeah.
Sorry. So the top speed of this plane was so slow, it was slower than the stall speed of the jets the Germans were fighting.
Oh, it would have been
They
great.
didn't have jets.
Would
Or
have been
whatever, not jets, the planes.
Would've been great
The
to,
Germans had jets by the end of the war, but there were no jet fighters. This
probably
time.
great to transport drugs from Colombia.
I don't think so.
Because if you got to go real slow
Real low.
and real
Slow
low,
and
You gotta
low,
go under
man.
the radar.
yeah,
Yeah.
For sure. But so if you think about it, the top speed of this plane being slower than the stall speed of the German planes means that at their slowest, Germans were just zooming past them. They couldn't keep them in sights long enough to shoot them down.
Right.
Which is hilarious to me. So actually, Germans ended up having to recommission decommissioned planes to start fighting them better.
So that doesn't make sense to me because wouldn't you just take a longer pass? Right? So you're like, oh, I'm turning around too quickly and coming at them and I only have 3 seconds to shoot. Like, why don't I just take a wider turn?
No, these women were playing the Virginia basketball
Pack line
of
defense.
warfare. Oh, yeah, warfare. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a great question. One of the reasons that was really tough was they only deployed in like groups of 3. And so they would have like planes that actually were bait planes for the bomber. So they would fly and like make themselves known, and they'd fly around and like distract the planes while the other one, no lights, no engine, just swooping. So one of the things too that was terrible about the planes. So one of the things here is that the freezing wind whipped around like they were in Russia, and there's only canvas cover. So the cockpits are exposed, and a lot of the pilots got frostbite while flying.
Dude, it was so like at the time, high tech, like American and British bombers, which were the best in the world at the time, like they would fly up at an altitude even in the summer,
Yeah.
where you would be freezing cold, frostbite level, and those dudes just had to sit there and like in gloves and like thick coats and take it.
Yeah.
like there's no heating in any of these in the best planes.
Right. So think about now you're wearing like a bunch of hand-me-down bullshit.
Right.
Tattered up uniforms, shit like that. I mean, maybe the extra room might provide more insulation. I don't know how that works. I'm not a survivor person, but yeah, it's not a good condition at all. You're sitting in a tinderbox with no roof on it.
Pretty on brand
yeah.
for the Soviets, to be quite honest.
Honestly, you kind of hope you're catching a little fire on that.
Just a
tinderbox.
little fire.
Just a little
yeah.
bit, just one trace
Just to
around.
warm yourself
Yeah.
up.
Here's another fun
I wonder how
fact.
many of these chicks, by the way, were like, fuck it, and we're still smoking in the plane. This is the
All of them?
40s.
All of them?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all of them,
They're
right?
hot
Cigarettes
boxing,
caused no problems in
Yeah.
the 1940s. They can't ignite anything. They can't give you cancer.
It's actually weirder if you didn't smoke cigs.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
You're a fucking
Like no one's trusting
psycho
you
if you don't
yeah.
smoke cigs in the 40s.
So here's a fun fact too: the planes could become so cold on the outside that if they touched the plane without cover on their skin, it could actually tear their skin
Which is
off.
chip.
They get stuck.
It would
They'd
get stuck. Yeah. And
So you're talking about like licking the
pole.
telephone
Flagpole,
pole,
yeah.
or the flagpole. Yeah.
So but that was a problem because it's an exposed cockpit. Like if they rested an arm or
These
something.
chicks not wearing gloves?
I don't know, man. Like there's a lot of issues here. Apparently they didn't have a lot of clothes, like enough clothes. They were like exchanging like.
I think
They were
this is
actually-
a,
yeah, they're
I think
up there
this
in
is a- I think this is
bikinis.
a ruse. The Soviet male soldiers were like, you have no clothes left for you.
You must fly naked.
Yes, you must be nude all the time.
So
And these chicks were so badass, they're like, fuck it. And they got in naked
they did.
and killed Nazis.
So due to both the plane's limited weight capacity and the military's limited funds, the pilots also lacked other luxury items. Their male counterpoints. Lacked other luxury items their male counterpoints enjoyed. Instead of parachutes, which were too heavy to carry, they got no parachutes. So no parachutes.
It doesn't sound like a parachute would be necessary in this plane.
No,
You're
dying.
in it and then you die.
Well, they were flying so low, parachutes wouldn't have made a difference
Yeah,
either.
so they didn't need 'em.
So yeah,
Like really, they
here
should.
is Rob
Just
hand
tuck
waving.
and roll.
Yeah.
You know?
Radar and guns and radios they also weren't given. Instead, they were given rulers,
Wait, no.
stopwatches.
Hold on. This is a plane made out of sticks and paper.
Yeah.
Where are they shoving the radar? They were never going to put a radar in that plane.
So instead of having that stuff, they had
They
to
had a
use
compass, like
Yeah, they had to use maps and compasses, pencils, flashlights, stopwatches.
First off, again, I got a note.
they got protractors.
In the American like high tech planes, they were using maps and pencils and shit like that. There's no computers in any of these planes. There's no place to put a radar in these shitty planes.
yeah, I don't know.
They don't have it. And also, but even in the Flying Fortress and stuff, maybe some of the later ones had like a radar system in them. But for the most part, like these dudes are just fucking flying.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you also got to consider they were trained in like 3 months to use all of those super rudimentary
I'm not
tools.
trying to undersell how bad they had it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's no place to put a computer, a 1940s sized piece of electronic equipment in a crop duster.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, it's more of a condition of the plane they're in, not so much that they aren't given these things because they're ladies. Absolutely.
Like we could put it in, but we won't.
Yeah, fuck you,
Yeah.
skirt. No, they weren't doing that, of course. But they were in basically the worst conditions of airplane you could be for dropping bombs. Remember, they're dropping bombs. They're not just like,
Yeah, the term flapper girls actually didn't hit Russia until the 40s because they were jumping out of their planes, flapping their arms.
what?
If they had to bail, they got no parachute.
I like your puns better when I'm not hosting.
It's way harder to deal with them when it's just like, you're like, wait, what? So they started their initial.
Just imagine a girl just abandoning her plane, jumping out, and just going.
Maybe she is a witch.
All right,
Like
t-
she's like, maybe.
All right, tits. If the plane starts going down, just jump and flap real hard.
She just believes her own hype. They actually had broomsticks.
If you believe hard enough.
That's all magic really is.
Yeah.
Is believing hard enough. So they start their initial bombing run on June 8th, 1942, and the all-female squadron would fight Nazi forces with overnight bombing runs all the way until the end of the war.
What were they bombing?
They were bombing camps, cities, stuff like that, like strategic areas.
You know where?
This would be at some point, like I guess in the Soviet theater. Like this would actually be like outside of.
Because I know
Russia.
as far as the Soviets and Russians now, because they're kind of the stolen valor from the Soviets. Not stolen, it was Russia, but the Soviets, like the current Russian propaganda machine, really likes to lean into the fact that like the Russians could have won the war by themselves, the Soviets could have won the war by themselves. They did all the heavy lifting on the ground, and they neglect to mention the fact that the only reason that. Not the only reason, but a fucking humongous reason that the Germans stopped being able to deal with the Soviets, aside from the fact that they were fighting what we call a two-front, but was really a three-front war if you include like Italy and it's kind of like a weird front, was the fact that the Americans and British were bombing the living fuck out of German industry literally day and night.
Yeah.
I want to say. And I think it was like very, someone could correct me on this, but I think it was very deliberately split where the the British took the night and the Americans took the day for
Jeez.
bombing, and it was just 24/7. Like it was literally every day, bombing runs on different factories and cities and shit like that. British took the night, Americans took the day. So one of the reasons that the Soviets were able to, perhaps the main reason that the Soviets were able to make their miraculous comeback on their front, is because we made it so the Germans could stop making fucking tanks and guns and shit.
Yeah, no, that definitely helps. And also one of the things too, it's like, well, okay, yeah, the Germans were also so deep into Russia that like Russians had to fight. They were constantly fighting. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of got themselves back into a corner.
We talked about this before. Russia, like this is just their history. They fight to survive anyway.
They're a second half team.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
You are always going to take a lead.
No, their whole life is just a fight.
there's only one. I think that I can think of only one group of people that have been in a war with Russia and like just outright won it.
What, the Mongols?
Japanese.
Oh, the Russo-Japanese. Well, that doesn't count.
Why does that not count?
That doesn't count because it was the Japanese didn't have to invade Russia.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
kind of localized war. They were really just fighting.
Wasn't
they
it
were-
over,
they-
like,
it
a
was-
peninsula? Like, wasn't
Yeah,
over a
like it was.
peninsula?
It was at sea mostly. I mean, there were land battles too, but like it wasn't. The Japanese weren't invading If you're talking about invading Russia,
Oh yeah.
No.
then there's
Well, you
the
never fought a land war in
the
Russia.
The only people who've ever really done it were the Mongols.
Well, that makes sense.
And
They
you
get
could
it
say the Huns, but that was pretty much pre-Muscovy or Rus or anything like
Right,
that.
that's
If you want to talk about
much
actual
Russia.
Muscovy and Rus, shit like that, the Mongols are the only ones to really do it. And that was before that whole what we would consider Russian culture. That was like they were nothing compared to what they are now. I mean, it was a principalities, small kingdoms compared. I mean, it was large compared to a lot of tracts of European land, but compared to what Russia is now, or even at the time of Napoleon or 100 years before Napoleon, no, not even close to the same fucking thing.
Good to know.
Rob, what if I told you a group of high school students took on the Russian army?
But not in Russia.
Yeah, that was in Michigan.
Well, it's
Home
true.
game.
It was in Michigan. It was a home
Yeah.
game. You're right.
It wasn't in Michigan.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
No, they called themselves the Wolverines. It wasn't in Michigan. It was in Colorado.
Oh,
Yeah, well,
whatever, man.
yeah.
Wolverines.
Do you know if that's true or not? I
Thanks.
appreciate that,
Thanks,
but
man.
I'm pretty sure it was in the mountains.
All right, so again, they start in 1942, June 8th, 1942, and they do bombing runs the rest of the war. At the peak of the regiment's strength, it had as many as 42-person crews going at any given time.
Are they still in these shitty planes?
They're always in these shitty planes. They
Oh,
never
wow.
get better planes. So they are flying multiple bombing runs as soon as the sky darkened, and they would take part in as many as 18 runs in a single night, and that would be between 2 and 3 planes, depending on the source.
So what this tells me, by the way, with 2-3 runs in a night, blah blah blah, they're bombing local-ish targets. They're not
Yeah.
doing the big.
They're
Like
not
said,
doing like Dresden, bombing Dresden.
They're
stuff
not.
Like that.
They're not bombing Berlin. They're not bombing German factories. They're bombing strategic targets, tactical targets.
Yeah.
On the Eastern Front.
They're keeping the Germans at bay.
Yes,
here.
these
Right.
are combat support bombings, right?
Yeah, for sure. So
That's an important thing
Yeah.
to make a distinction of, because I feel like a lot of our audience, when they hear World War II bombers,
they're thinking people flying over Berlin.
yes,
Yeah,
they're
no.
thinking they're thinking flying fortresses, all that type of shit. No, this is combat support, tactical bombings.
This is almost like guerrilla air force.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's barbecue.
Because
bombing,
here's
low and
I mean,
slow.
the Russian Air Force wasn't like
Colorado.
Yeah, it was in Colorado.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Thanks, Cooper.
Red
the
Dawn,
Russian Air
yeah.
Force wasn't like dog shit, or actually it was dog shit early on. But like by the end of the war, the Russians had like good fighters and stuff like that. But it was always the Western forces that were doing, like we are the ones that established air superiority.
Oh, for
we are the
sure.
ones that knocked out the entire Luftwaffe. Again, one of the reasons that the Soviets turned the tide is because the Americans and British killed the whole fucking Nazi Air Force. And I would include the Italians, but they never had one really. So,
I never account the Italians at all.
Yeah.
Really, for either World War.
do you?
No, they're like
They flipped
But yeah,
in World War
They
One.
really. That's
Yeah.
always a funny thing about current Russian propaganda is they're like, we won the war totally, and it's like, yeah. What were you?
Did the
what were your-
Italians
what-
flip at the end of World War II too?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh.
I mean,
Like, yeah. What were you doing before the Luftwaffe got knocked out? Because you didn't knock them out. Who knocked them out? Who knocked out those factories? You may not have been doing so well if there were factories in that Air Force.
all right.
Italians were trying to. That was more like Africa, right? This is where they fought there.
They kept the Italians have the funniest history in World War II. The Italians, like a 30-second history of the Italians in World War II, is they kept invading shit and failing, and the Germans would have to bail them out.
Yep.
So they like invaded Greece, failed, had to get bailed out. Crete failed, had to get bailed out. Ethiopia failed, too far away. Germans didn't even bother bailing them out on that one.
Just the worst ally.
Dude, they were like
what was the game plan for Italy taking all that shit to you in Africa? What was the game plan for Africa? Was it just gonna be like workforce and shit?
I don't
like that?
know what they wanted out of Ethiopia. Like
Yeah.
I don't remember what they wanted. I don't know.
All I know is from like Man in a High Castle, where they eventually just like turned Africa into a giant slave camp, but
Yes.
for labor. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just like what's his name, Philip K. Dick's like
Listen,
extrapolation.
yeah.
Of
If
it.
Indiana Jones just had to go against the Italians, it would have been a 15-minute movie.
Yes. It would have been a fucking TikTok.
He would have been like, "Hey, give me that arc."
Someone should actually just make Indiana Jones and stealing the like
And they'd be like, hey,
like
yo,
the Lost
hey,
Ark
hey,
from the
hey,
Italians.
oh.
He just like cracks a whip and they all surrender.
Bibbidi bobbidi, hey, here's the Ark, hey, gabagoo.
Yes, that's how he would have done it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So so the light planes could only carry 6 bombs at a time. So that's also a reason why they had to do so many damn runs, because they had to basically tie them to crop duster.
And also, what the range of those planes had to be nothing,
Yeah,
especially with bombs attached to it.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. The weight was obviously tightly controlled because they were very small planes. They had to fly low, and they were often easily spotted.
This is what's fucked up about this.
These things
If
are
they're flying low.
These
and
things are
they're-
being shot out of the
If
sky.
they're flying low and they're easily spotted, and they're weighted down by bombs, you could shoot at this with like a handgun.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like some German could take his MP40 or late in the war, the assault rifle. I forget the name of that one. The first like assault rifle ever. They could just take, or even their fucking Mauser, their fucking bolt action rifle, and just be like, bet.
Yeah,
Like just fucking shoot at it.
yeah. So that's
Or an MG42. God damn, that would rip that plane in
right,
half.
they're playing duck hunt.
Yeah.
It's
I
that's
know-
why they didn't fly during the daytime.
I know a lot of German weapons, by the way, and it's not because I'm secretly super into the Nazis or nothing.
I've been to your house.
What, but-
I've seen the memorabilia.
No, it's just I played a lot of World War II games. You guys didn't play Close Combat at Bridge Too Far? You didn't play Close Combat at Russian Front?
No.
You never played the Close Combat series?
No, I didn't play that.
No?
I didn't play it. No.
All those weapons are in Call of Duty too, by the way.
Oh, 1941.
that reminds me of
42.
Kingsman Golden Circle.
Oh my god. All right, so because of what everything Rob just said, the planes had to fly at night. It was pretty much crucial for them to have any successful missions. The planes, each with a pilot up front and a navigator in the back, traveled in packs. The first planes would go in as bait, attracting German spotlights, which provided much-needed illumination. And these planes, which rarely had ammunition to
By
defend
the way,
themselves.
wouldn't the illumination also darken the rest of the sky so that made them more camouflaged, kind of?
Yeah, well, I mean, also, like, so these...
Like if you're not looking at the light, it's extra dark.
Right. And also, these planes have their engines going. This plane is also nicknamed a couple other things, too. It's very
Okay.
loud because it's a terrible 5-cylinder engine.
Yeah.
So they called it the sewing machine, I believe.
Is that why they called it that?
I think there's other
that
reasons.
why
There's
they
another
called
reason
it
for that one,
that?
yeah. But, so one was called the sewing machine. I think one was called...
The washer dryer?
It's weird. Like, the pants presser is very strange.
The frying pan.
The ironing board? It's just all kinds
One,
of...
actually, the other one was the coffee grinder. Because it...
Come on. It's all...
It's just so on the nose, man.
It really is.
So these planes rarely had ammunition to defend themselves. They would release a flare to light up the intended target. The bait planes would do this. So they're also drawing attention to themselves that way. And then the last plane would cut its engines and glide in the darkness to the bombing area.
This was, of course, known as the tampon.
Right. It's the point of insertion?
Yeah.
So as the silenced bombers sailed over the Nazi forces, they would make a light whoosh sound. And German soldiers began referring to them as the Nachthexen, or better known as the Night Witches. They would fly in silent, drop bombs.
And they laugh maniacally.
I guess they must have cackled.
You
at
should
least.
have. If I was
Yeah.
one of those chicks, I would have definitely dropped a bomb and been like... Although I don't know what a witch... That's an American witch.
Yeah.
I don't know what a Russian
Well, all the witches are the same.
I feel like Russian
No, but it's
witches.
like, culturally, it's...
Yeah, they probably just are grumpy and grunt.
A Russian witch is probably a fucking lunatic. That's
Yeah.
like a Blair witch. Like, that's like... no noise, just violently murders you.
Fully dilated
Who's the
penis.
like Hansel and Gretel kind of witch? What
That's
is
German.
That?
That's German. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably similar.
Yes.
They probably
well,
eat
more similar. Yeah.
They're eating Nazi
more
kids.
similar than a Salem witch. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This was fun too. So obviously this was pretty demoralizing for people that would get bombed by these ladies. They would be really pissed off. And so they were trying to figure out like what the deal was. Like how were they so good at bombing?
What's your deal,
So how good were they?
woman?
They were really good. I will tell you in a minute. But the Germans began to spread rumors that the Soviets were giving the women pills and treatments to make them have cat night vision. There was like a firmly believed rumor.
You know why a German soldier would believe that?
Because they were doing weird experiments on other people. All the
Well,
time.
and they were all on meth.
Yeah, they were
They were
all
legitimately on meth.
Well.
So I don't mean that, and I don't mean that to say like, well, they believed it because they were on meth and the meth made them believe it. I mean that because,
They probably thought they also had night vision.
well, they were just like, well, we're doing meth, so they're probably doing insane shit too.
Wasn't like every pilot doing some sort of speed though
I mean,
during that
yeah,
time?
baseball
Like,
players were doing greenies in the 70s.
like
so,
speed was
yeah,
just
probably.
like all the time. Like I mean, Hitler was on a ton of drugs. I know most of the time.
Yeah.
All the pilots had pep pills. There was also, this is a side story, but there was some guy, I believe he was a Scandinavian pilot or sniper or something like that, and he was surrounded behind enemy lines and managed to escape because he ate like all of his go pills at once
just ran.
and just fucking survived.
Oh, he went rampage mode.
I don't know if he killed them. He might have killed like one or two people, but they said his like resting heart rate was like 190 beats per minute or something like that. He had eaten like 21 days worth of pep pills at once. I think he was like 100 pounds when they found him.
Did he just like scalp a bunch of people, but it was all throats?
I'm
Just
not
came
sure.
back
I'll
with
have
just
to,
a
you know,
bag
what,
of throats.
maybe I'll have to do a addendum at
Yeah.
the end, just kind of fill you in on that. Maybe that's more interesting than these ladies. I
No,
guess.
these ladies are quite interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so altogether, these pilots flew more than 30,000 missions in total, or
That's a lot
about
of missions.
800 per pilot and navigator.
Jesus.
They lost a total of 30 pilots, and 24 of the flyers were awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union. I believe, oh yeah, so they were the most highly decorated air unit of the Soviet Air Force during World War II.
Good Lord.
Yeah, they were doing
So, how many did they lose?
30.
30.
That's on the Germans.
Yeah.
How?
30 out of 800 missions?
How?
Or no, 800 missions total or 800 missions per?
That was 800 people. 800 planes or whatever.
I thought he said 800.
Oh no, 800 missions per pilot.
Yeah.
Was the average.
And only
Yeah.
30.
And they only
Went down.
lost 30 pilots. Yeah.
That's
pretty good.
that's
For these
That's
these shitbox planes.
0.05.
I mean, they
you
were
gotta be trying not to shoot at them
Yeah.
at that point.
they were probably just laughing at those
I
planes.
could take a handgun and shoot at pigeons every day for 4 years and hit more pigeons than that. With no training outside of that. Like I just see a pigeon and I shoot at it. And I could hit more pigeons. Like in the air, not waiting, not on the ground. I'm like, I'm gonna shoot a pigeon. Like I see them flying.
With
And I
like-
just
with
pop
like a-
off shots with a handgun at pigeons.
No, I don't think so.
How many did they shoot down?
30.
Yes. Over 5 years? Fucking yes.
I don't know, man. I would love to see you shoot some clay birds.
I've shot that
birds-
before.
Yeah, clay birds are actually
It's with
easy.
the
Actually,
shotgun,
with
too.
a
It's not- that's not
with-
hard.
It's with bird shot.
Right.
So,
no,
like,
it's more of just like a. I'm just coming.
What's
around.
I'm a
like-
good. I'm a
okay,
good
wait a
shot.
minute, wait a
You
minute.
can shit on me for athleticism if you want, although I could beat in a lot of sports. But
You cannot.
you definitely can't shit me for
Okay,
shooting. I'm a
wait
good
minute.
shot.
Dan, what's more likely? You kill a baboon in the ring, or Rob can shoot 30 pigeons over 5 years with a handgun?
He can shoot the pigeons for sure.
In the air? I feel like that's a lot harder than you think. Like shooting a pigeon with a handgun far away.
I have, based on how many missions they flew, I have unlimited tries over the course of 5 years to shoot
Yeah.
30.
I don't
wait,
think
it's-
you're a good shot though. I'll take the baboon.
Okay, fair enough.
I will say this with a hand. I'm not a good shot with a handgun. With anything
No
with
one's a
butt.
good shot with a handgun.
Yeah, anything with a butt, I can shoot well.
Yeah, no, you have a longer barrel. It's easier to control. You're using two hands.
I still think I could take 30 pigeons over the course of 5 years with unlimited tries.
You get 30,000 tries.
I
Yeah, you get 30,000
think
tries.
I could do it.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking kidding.
You would need to try that like 100 times a day for 5 years.
Sounds
Yeah.
fun. Sounds fun.
He's just gonna be fucking Rooster Cockburn shooting just bullets into the air, trying to hit biscuits.
Yeah.
Might as well. I mean, Anyway, Raskova, who was the founder of the movement, she died on January 4th, 1943, when she was finally sent to the front line, and her plane never made it back. So
she was one of the 30.
She died in war, yeah. So, she was given the very first state funeral of World War II for the Soviets, and her ashes were buried in the Kremlin. So basically, kind of wrapping it up, despite being the most highly decorated unit in the Soviet Air Force during the war, the Night Witches Regiment was disbanded 6 months after World War II. And when it came time for the big Victory Day parade in Moscow, they weren't included because their planes were too slow.
Well, that makes sense.
I mean,
They were actually 6 hours behind.
Yeah.
They were. By the time they got there, the parade was over. Everyone was home.
they were in the parade. They were just really far back.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
They had a flyover, but like people just got tired of waiting, so
Like,
they kicked off the soccer game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just kind of, like, there was a really bad flyby halfway through the game. They're like, wait a minute.
We're waiting. I guess we'll add
There's
another
no farms
commercial
here.
break.
What's going on?
No, I mean, so that's pretty much it on them. But I thought it was just an interesting story that, it definitely, like, demoralized some other readings showed that, like, it demoralized a lot of the people that were getting bombed by women because they were like, why can't we shoot them down? Like,
That's
why is-
on them.
Yeah, no, it is
That's
on them.
on them.
Yeah, like,
Well, they have spells that are protective.
You hear these stupid loud planes that go so slow. And the Germans had, like, legitimately, just in terms of the army, had, like, the best small arms of the war. Like the MP-40, the assault rifle they made that I forget the name of, the MG-42 as a machine gun is better than most machine guns that countries have today.
Look, Rob, here's the thing, right? When something catches you so off guard, you don't know how to react to it. These women were essentially the Ephus pitch.
I mean, maybe the first fucking 5,000.
Well, somebody catches you
If
with an
that.
Ephus pitch, and you just stand there. You don't know what to do. You're expecting like 97 on the gun, and they hit 40.
I mean, yeah, these are just dog shit
yeah,
planes.
if you want to see what the planes look like, look up the
Just Google Night Witch.
Polikarpov PO2. It's similar to like a U-2 plane.
That is
Google Night Witch plane.
That is an RC plane.
I mean, it looks pretty small, man. Like
30 over 5 years.
I mean, you have
going
little
dirt slow.
little
Like, just,
little toy planes with these tiny women driving them.
do you think they just sent people that sucked out to get bombed by these ladies? Like, I mean, it couldn't have been that, but like, they must have been just in dire straits if they were having trouble shooting these down.
I don't know if they were flying like close air support per se, but like they were obviously flying like close range missions because they couldn't fly a long distance. So, man, like maybe they just, even though they were slow, just bombed like, say, here's the front line, here's the front line, and they just came like, beep, 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 and like just hit the very front of the line and
Yeah.
came back. So they only didn't have long, because like, again, it's worth noting these women were not flying deep into enemy territory.
Yeah, it had to have been a problem on the Nazi side. We're going to give no credit to these women with their flying skills.
Actually,
You can have flying skills.
they did get a little deep one time. The closest they got, or the furthest in they got, was actually they were 60 miles from Berlin.
Yeah, but how far away was the
I
front
don't
line?
have the stats.
Hey,
was
I mean,
probably-
towards the end, I mean,
Yeah.
they're running out 8-year-old children to take out.
Right. Yes,
Sure.
they were 60 miles from Berlin, I'm sure, in
Berlin was
1945.
falling, and
yeah.
you had Jojo Rabbit out there.
Is it not that I'm not giving credit to these?
Rob hates female pilots.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
That sounds like
And
it.
loves the Nazis and thinks it's more the Nazis bad than the good of the women.
It would
I
have
do
been
think-
it would have been kind of funny if the Nazis just treated these women and these planes as like they just ran out the Hitler Youth and are like, all right, target practice, go ahead, try to hit something, and that's why there was only 30 planes that were shot down.
That's an egregious number. That's a statistical anomaly.
I mean, okay, so what is 30,000?
30 out of 30,000?
Yeah, 30.
No, 30,000
Like
missions?
The percentage? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, it's 0.001. But it's 30 pilots, so like each pilot did. Yeah, 30,000
I
missions.
feel like more American commercial planes go down every year than the amount that get shot down.
Commercial? No.
I know. It's a little hyperbole, but
Maybe in the world.
Well, you can't count Malaysian airliners and shit like that.
Well, you can't count the ones you can't find.
Yeah, you can't. But I mean, like,
anything flying over Turkey, really.
Anything.
they're definitely
Asian steppe,
Wait,
yeah.
hold on. Google how many plane crashes there are a year in America.
The Ukraine.
In the United States, how many plane crashes are there a year? We are easily the lowest country in the world for that, or close to it in terms of percentage.
At least we got that going for us.
U.S. registered.
Sorry. Look up fatal plane crashes.
Because it was at like about 1,300.
Roy Halladay. That's all I can think of, really.
He wasn't even in America, though. I think he Gulf of Mexico, but I think he was international waters.
The number of civilian aviation deaths increased from 347, like about 400
a year.
Oh, yeah,
That has to be all small planes.
all but 2 of the 393 deaths in 2018 were onboard fatalities. So these were after complications, I'm guessing.
If it's onboard fatalities, that means people dying on a plane. That doesn't mean plane crashes.
Yeah, so
okay.
one plane is 160 people.
How many fatal planes crashed in 2020? The number of people killed in large commercial airplane crashes rose in 2020 to 299 worldwide.
It rose because half the world didn't fly.
No, you're talking about this year. All I'm saying is there are probably more than 30 plane crashes a year in the United States of planes that size.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. There's at least 1,000. Like it says, in 2018 there was almost 1,400.
So there are more plane crashes on accident in the United States with shitty tiny planes than there were
with way
on
more
purpose.
Flights, with way more flights
Look,
than
man,
30,000.
these
Yeah,
women-
on purpose.
These women were straight gangsters, all right?
They dropped bombs.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed both at their skill and the Germans' just total ineptitude.
This sounds like me after we watched that UF Mizzou game in the swamp. Where I was like, it wasn't so much that you guys were better than us. We just were worse than you.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's no. It's
Are you?
Our
If
team
you're
sucks.
saying I'm a fan of Nazi Germany, guilty as charged.
you just like the articles or
Yeah, I just like the articles.
not
Yeah.
the pictures.
That's fucking wild though. That they, I mean,
I think it's pretty cool that cool and kind of shitty. They were in such shitty planes that the person dropping the bombs actually had to cut their engine and just kind of like coast.
yeah.
Just because otherwise they'd be
Saving
like,
gas.
There's the sewing machine.
I think bigger. I think bigger planes did that too.
They must have.
I think that there. I vaguely recall that being a thing with even like a big, at the time, high tech American planes. That being a thing where they would like cut, glide, drop. Maybe not the best ones, but like a lot. I don't know. But the Soviets, they were actually like quite impressive for integrating women into the
I thought it was
into
pretty-
combat services.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was pretty.
I
interesting,
don't think they get credit as much as just like an all hands on deck.
And it was like legitimately all hands on deck. It's like it's not as bad as saying like, dude, the Germans don't get enough credit for putting children in their military.
I was gonna say this is impressive, but we should start talking about their baby units.
Right.
Wait, did the Germans have baby units?
No, the
Kind
Russians.
of. I mean,
Well,
both
I think
kind of.
I think in Stalingrad the baby unit was more of a measurement of food.
Yeah.
God, but
Well, they actually used their toddlers. They would just strap them with kind of any type of any type of stabby item.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really have any like a broken glass bottle. They would just hand a child.
In case you ever want to argue that we were inhumane for nuking the Japanese, that is straight up what the Japanese were going to do, was send fucking 5-year-olds at you with a knife.
With a samurai
like if
sword.
there was going to be a land invasion in
Yes.
Japan. Oh my God.
Straight up
People really don't think about what a land invasion in Japan would have looked like.
a fucking nightmare.
It would have been really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, 2 atomic bombs isn't great either, but it's also total war. I don't know. Like,
What do
is
you?
there- yeah.
What do you think the third option is? Like,
Blockade?
until they starve to death.
It's an
Yeah.
island.
So the toddlers just starve to death.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
debate that one.
Yeah. No, the Soviets were really good about integrating. Well, not really good, but really they did integrate a lot of women into combat role. Like I said, there is. I'd have to look at it. I haven't read it in a while, but there were a lot of female snipers and shit like that. I don't recall like all female infantry units or anything. One thing that would have been interesting though, so like I don't necessarily know if you want women, because not to be an asshole, but women don't run as fast, blah blah blah, as men and stuff like that. But like I don't know why you wouldn't have an all women like tank regiment.
Oh, 'cause
Anything where you're piloting something.
I don't see, what the disadvantage would be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything especially where you're piloting or operating something, I really don't know what. Maybe one of our veteran, like Dan Holloway, could tell us, like at the Drinking Bros job, what the difference would be. But like,
I'm not the person to ask. I have no idea.
right. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Or even in the U.S. military now, like not sure what the advantage of or disadvantage of having like a woman on a B-2 bomber that has to fly 12 hours.
And look, man, in football, the low man always wins the battle. So, like, if you get a lower woman, you're going to win that battle every time.
It's fair.
Especially if there's trench warfare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean,
Yeah.
women have better base, better, like, lower center of gravity. Mainly, like, actually stronger legs for the most part.
So what you're saying is something with a lower center of gravity and stronger legs has an advantage over like your average man.
Yeah.
So, like maybe a baboon.
No, I'm ripping that baboon in half. Baboon, I mean, there's a bunch of chicks that squat, right? There's a bunch of chicks that deadlift. It's kind of been embraced by the culture now. That baboon is not squatting. That baboon's not hitting leg day, and that baboon's going to get worked.
We'll look up how much a baboon can squat, just because.
In the meantime, we could talk about. Well, you can ask what.
What?
So, what did we learn?
Oh yeah, what did we learn today, guys?
I learned about some badass chicks that Rob, for some reason, doesn't want to give credit to.
No, he would rather discredit.
He would
the
rather
Nazis.
discredit the Nazis, which I kind of get, but at the same time, like,
It's very
props
brand for
to these girls,
Yeah,
these women.
definitely. I learned that if you have a plane that can fly, regardless of how shitty it is, there's a military that'll send you up in it.
Yeah.
And look, maybe that plane was so shitty that it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one saw it coming.
You know?
It was like a Boise State Statue of Liberty play.
Yeah.
So stupid it
That
works.
they ran 30,000 times and
Yeah.
you only get stopped. at
And they're
30.
just like, they're just still so perplexed.
It's like, wait,
Yeah.
and he's putting the ball behind his back? Like, get out of here, right?
A hook and ladder?
What? Gee whiz. Yeah. Anyway, what'd you learn, Rob?
I learned mostly. I really did actually. The main thing I learned is like, God damn, how do they not shoot down more of those planes? That doesn't make any fucking sense. It doesn't actually. It doesn't make sense to me that more of those planes didn't just crash on accident. So what I learned, I guess, is this was.
So read that.
Okay. This was one of the many sort of like, look, you can believe in fate or not, believe in God or not, believe in whatever you want to or not. But this is one of those funny things that happened in World War II, one of those fateful, interesting, odd things that happened where you're just like, was someone not rooting for someone?
Kind of like the Civil War, right? A couple
Kinda.
months, yeah.
So we're like, you see all these things go right. And look, you have to get lucky a bunch to win anything big like that, whether it's a fucking sports championship or, God forbid, a giant, really consequential war. But sometimes in some of these wars, like in World War I,
Yeah,
World
definitely
War I was a meaningless war, right? Like
World War II is definitely a top 2 war of the century. Huh?
it's the
It's
biggest war of all time.
The Great War?
Yeah. World War I was kind of a meaningless war
Part 2.
in so much that like there really weren't any good guys or bad guys. We kind of frame it that way.
It was a shit show because a bunch of like terrible kids of better leaders got.
Listen,
spats.
It was a bunch of royals playing meat chess.
Yeah.
Everyone had good people on their side.
Yeah.
They stopped on Christmas Day and played a soccer
Yeah.
game, okay?
But for the big war, for the wars that have like mass consequence in a bigger way than World War I, which had consequences, but whatever, just forget it. And in wars like World War II, the Civil War, where like, you're like really like moral consequences on the line. Fuck, dude. Like I don't know, like these weird things happen, and maybe it's confirmation bias. But
I would say so.
But what I
Aliens.
would learn, but what I learn is
Definitely aliens.
It's just like weird. It's just interesting that shit happens.
Yeah.
What are you showing me, by the way?
Oh, so this is a stat.
That's a chimp.
Yeah, so a 90-pound chimp. So I'm saying though.
Chimp is not a
Yeah,
baboon.
chimps are jacked. You got to do baboon.
Baboon.
Okay.
Much weaker.
Do you think
I'm not fucking up a chimp. No.
so
No, a chimp has like Captain America strength.
Yeah.
Like a chimp would fuck you up.
But I'm making friends with the chimp.
Mm.
Yeah.
Until it wants what you don't,
No.
which is you.
I know a little sign language.
Why won't National Geographic tell me how much a fucking baboon can deadlift?
Just look up how much a baboon weighs.
What's
Look
the
at
point
just
of
what-
National
how strong-
Geographic?
Look,
No.
just look up how strong is a baboon.
Why? What's the point of National Geographic if it can't tell you how much a fucking baboon
There is
can
no
deadlift?
point to it. I agree with that.
Greatly depends on the baboon and the human, of course.
Yeah, so we're talking about just a yellow baboon.
Yeah, I can deadlift 425. What can that baboon?
Your dick off your body. That's what it can deadlift.
You don't think I'm gonna rip its dick off?
No. Oh, here's actually
I'm
another
fighting dirty.
Here's another factor, by the way. If we're dropping you into a pit, because the original thing was a pharaoh or something dropping you into a pit of his, I guess, 2 baboons, right? So you're being punished, okay? Presumably you're being dropped into it naked.
That's fine.
Do you think that's fine?
Yeah.
I think that puts you at a massive disadvantage than what you are.
You don't want to
Right
fight
now,
a
you're-
desperate naked man. Okay.
What do you think a baboon is but a feral desperate naked?
Is it hot or is it cold? If it's cold, I have a better advantage.
Because your dick's
Well,
smaller?
it's Egypt.
Yeah,
We're
it's
talking
just-
about
it's
ancient
pretty much
Egypt
inside
here.
So
me at
this
that
guy
point.
on Quora
You're hanging.
definitely is breaking down.
But also, if it's hotter, then my balls are kind of hanging and they're more, vulnerable.
That's what I'm saying. You're in Egypt.
Oh, I'm taking these baboons. It doesn't matter. It's death or kill the baboon.
Oh, so what's the baboon facing?
The baboon doesn't know.
I think it knows.
Man, so that's the thing. Like this guy says, it's anywhere from 4/3 to 8/3 stronger than the untrained 240.
I'm
pound
killing
man.
this baboon.
It's fucking you up.
Thank-
this thing has
yeah.
fucking.
Thank you for listening
thing
to the
has wolf
podcast.
teeth.
We'll continue this argument later. Thanks
Yeah.
for joining us today. And Dan?
You just got soft served.